On the surface, she looked like someone you'd trust without hesitation. A soft smile, a gentle laugh, the kind of woman who reminded you of a sweet grandmother. But behind that warm, familiar face was one of the most disturbing serial killers in American history, responsible for the deaths of 11 people between 1927 and 1954. This is the story of Nannie Doss, a woman later known as the Giggling Granny. Nannie Doss was born Nancy Agnes Hazel on November 4, 1905, in the small town of Blue Mountain, Alabama, a quiet rural area nestled between Anniston and Jacksonville. Nannie's childhood was anything but happy, one of 5 children born to Jim and Louisa Hazel. Her father was reportedly strict, controlling, and often abusive. He demanded obedience, forced his children to work long hours on the family farm, and frequently kept them out of school so they could help with chores. He didn't allow his daughters to wear makeup or fashionable clothes. Even small expressions of individuality were forbidden. When Nannie was just 7 years old, she was involved in a train accident. The train stopped suddenly, and she struck her head on a metal seat in front of her. Years later, Nannie would claim this injury caused lifelong headaches, and she would eventually blame it for the darkness that followed her throughout her life. As she grew older, Nannie became obsessed with romance magazines, especially the Lonely Hearts columns. While other girls dreamed of school dances or friendships, Nannie dreamed of love, glamour, and a perfect husband who would rescue her from her miserable life. That fantasy would shape nearly every decision she made throughout her life. In 1921, Nannie left home to work at a thread company in Anniston. It was there that she met Charlie Braggs. They married quickly and moved in with Charlie's mother, a woman whose temperament closely resembled Nannie's controlling father. The marriage quickly became strained, and their children arrived just as fast. By 1927, the marriage was falling apart. The 2 middle children died suddenly after eating breakfast. Their deaths were officially blamed on food poisoning. No investigation followed, but Charlie received an anonymous warning, advising him not to eat anything his wife prepared. Alarmed by this warning, Charlie left Nannie, taking their oldest daughter, Malvina, with him and leaving the newborn behind with Nannie and his mother. Charlie's mother died soon afterward. Nannie and Charlie divorced in 1928. Charlie soon returned with his daughter, along with a new love interest. It was then that Nannie took her 2 daughters and moved back in with her parents, acquiring work in a local cotton mill to support herself and her daughters. But the pattern had already begun. In 1929, Nannie answered another Lonely Hearts advertisement. This time, the man was Frank Harrelson. Their marriage was volatile from the start. Frank was known to drink heavily and had a violent temper. Arguments were frequent, and the home was unstable. It was during this period that family members later suspected Nannie of committing one of her most horrifying acts. Nannie's eldest daughter, Malvina, gave birth to a son in 1943. 2 years later, another baby arrived. Malvina, exhausted and groggy from giving birth, thought she saw her visiting mother stick a hat pin into the baby's head, causing its death. However, doctors could not give a positive explanation to the grieving parents. Later on, Malvina left her son in the care of Nannie and went to visit her father. The child died mysteriously. The death was diagnosed as asphyxia. Months later, Nannie collected a $500 life insurance policy she had taken out on the child. Frank Harrelson remained alive for 16 years, until September of 1945. One night, Frank returned home drunk. After spending time with friends, who had recently returned from World War II, he forced himself on Nannie. The next day, Nannie poured rat poison into one of his hidden jars of moonshine. Frank Harrelson died on September 15, 1945. Once again, no autopsy was performed. After Frank's death, Nannie placed another Lonely Hearts ad. It was then that she met and married Arlie Lanning in Lexington, North Carolina. Arlie was a heavy drinker, so when he became ill and died, his death was attributed to heart failure. A flu outbreak in the area helped mask the truth. Rat poison was once again Nannie's weapon of choice. After Arlie's death, Nannie moved in with her sister, who died shortly after her arrival. In 1952, Nannie married Richard Morton in Kansas, another man she met through personal ads. When Richard began disappearing for long stretches to see other women, Nannie turned her attention elsewhere. Her mother had moved in with the couple in January of 1953, following the death of Nannie's father. Within days, Nannie's mother began suffering severe stomach pain and died shortly after. 3 months later, Richard Morton drank coffee from a thermos Nannie had prepared. Coffee laced with arsenic. Richard did not survive. After Richard Morton's death, Nannie boarded a bus to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to meet her next romantic interest, Samuel Doss. They married in June of 1953. Unlike her previous husbands, Samuel wasn't abusive or alcoholic. Instead, he was controlling in a different way, banning romance magazines and television programs he didn't consider educational. Nannie hated it. She briefly left him, returning only after Samuel added her name to his bank account and took out 2 life insurance policies naming her as beneficiary. Her first attempt to poison him with an arsenic-laced prune cake failed. Samuel spent a month recovering in the hospital. When he returned home, Nannie reverted to her most reliable method, arsenic, in coffee. Samuel Doss died soon afterward. But this time someone noticed. Samuel's doctor found the circumstances suspicious and insisted on an autopsy. The results revealed enough arsenic in Samuel's body to kill a horse. Police were notified. When questioned, Nannie eventually confessed, reportedly in exchange for being allowed to keep a romance magazine in her jail cell. Exhumations of several bodies confirmed arsenic or rat poison as the cause of death. Nannie admitted to killing multiple husbands and family members, including 4 husbands, 2 children, one of her sisters, her mother, 2 grandchildren, and a mother-in-law. Nannie Doss was convicted of murder in Oklahoma and sentenced to life in prison in 1955. She narrowly avoided execution after being declared legally insane. Throughout her incarceration, she appeared disturbingly cheerful, smiling, laughing and joking about her crimes. Her behavior earned her the nickname the Giggling Granny. During her time in prison, Nannie complained that the only job she was allowed there was in the laundry, noting that her offers to work in the kitchen were politely declined. On June 2, 1965, exactly 10 years into her sentence, Nannie Doss died of leukemia. She was buried in Oak Hill Memorial Park in McAlester, Oklahoma. Nannie Doss remains an example of how evil can hide behind a smile. A woman who looked harmless, a grandmotherly figure, a romantic dreamer. Sometimes the most dangerous monsters really don't look like monsters at all. If you found the case of Nannie Doss to be of interest, and you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to Midnight Case Files Investigates. It's free to subscribe. Thank you for watching.